I now recognize Mr. Biggs of Arizona for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Ranking Member Womack. I appreciate the opportunity to testify before this committee today. A few weeks ago, our national debt surpassed $22 trillion. That's not news to you, but it is roughly equivalent of $68,000 per person in the United States. And since 2017, the national debt has grown by over $2 trillion. Democrats and Republicans are both at fault in the current fiscal state of our country. All of us are concerned. Both sides of the aisle are concerned as well. And we've talked about regular order. Both parties need to look at reforming Social Security and Medicare to ensure these programs remain sustainable. Social Security and Medicare make up the majority of our federal budget, and CBO has forecast that Medicare will run out of money in 2026 and Social Security in 2034. And many of my colleagues and I have promised to cut spending and enact substantial budget reforms, but have been unable to keep our commitments because it's been tough to have a true regular order process in this Congress. In fact, our inefficiency has seen and caused the United States credit rating from Standard & Poor's to fall from AAA to AA+. And without a targeted effort to balance our budget, our credit rating will surely continue to fall. President Trump's national security strategy highlights the need to reduce the national debt through fiscal responsibility, and President Trump's not alone in recognizing the national debt as a threat to national security. A bipartisan group of national security leaders like former Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff Michael Mullen, Secretaries of Defense James Mattis and Leon Panetta, Director of National Intelligence Dan Coates, and others have warned that our continued increase in our national debt will eventually hinder our ability to sustain our national security. To address this issue, I introduced a resolution recognizing the national debt as a threat to America's national security, and I am happy to report that many of our own colleagues, some who serve on this committee, in fact more than 50, have signed on to this resolution. But it'll take more than just promises and sound bites. We have a lot of work to do. I wanted to report on something that happened for me. The lights went out as I testified. This happens to me.
We apologize.
Yeah, it's all right.
It was not an editorial comment.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I served on the Arizona Appropriations Committee for 14 years. The last 6 years I served in the Arizona legislature, I effectively wrote the state budget with my colleagues. When I took over that duty, we had lost 34% of our state revenue in a 9-month period. We were considered to be the per capita hardest hit at the end of the 2008, at the beginning of the 2008 recession. We managed to restore the glide path by creating a glide path so we could meet our obligations, provide the services that we felt were the most necessary. And the result is that I report to you today that Arizona has a $1 billion structural surplus, which is contrary to the multi-billion-dollar negative situation we were in just a few short years ago. I am convinced we can do this. It will take bipartisan sacrifice, bipartisan cooperation, and part of the way we do this is to continue to talk about this, elevate it, make it a real priority. Quite frankly, I feel like sometimes we spend so much time on so many other things that we fail to recognize how important what you do in this committee and what we do with our spending really is. I think it is the most important thing we do in Congress. And with that, Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
Thank you, gentlemen. Questions? Thank you very much. I now recognize